Hello everybody, welcome to Ethics, World Religions in the Winter Session 2017. This is your professor, Dr. Andrea Diem, and I'd like to introduce you to this course in this very brief online video. You should see when you go into the course on Moodle, it is not on Canvas this term, but on Moodle. You'll see that the class is set up for you and ready to go. I have the important dates here. It starts on January 9th and ends on February. The grades are due on the 19th, so the course actually ends on February 17th, which is a Friday. Here is the introduction material. It's the course information that you'll need throughout the whole semester. The announcements from the professor here is required to be on Moodle for every online class, and I will be announcing general announcements throughout the term, and for sure on Mondays and Thursdays, so do check that. There is obviously the orientation presentation you're listening to right now, the course syllabus, which is ready to go. So if you click through that, I did send it out to you early before the term started. If you're just adding the class, then you haven't seen it yet, but make sure you read through that very thoroughly and understand the course setup. The weekly schedules for the professor and for the student are here, so it tells you what I'm going to be doing each and every day through the week, and then what you're supposed to be doing through the entire semester. So it's broken down for what's due and what's required of you. So click back here. Okay, we have a virtual chat room. This is not required for the winter term. I just put it there as an optional, so you'd have to make an appointment with me if there's something you want to chat about. But most students utilize the help forum, which is right here, to ask me a question or email me. So that one's just a total optional one. And in spring and in fall, it is required that I have an hour each week on that. Introduction forum is something that you use just week one. You introduce yourself the first day of the term up to maybe the third day of the term, but not so much later than that. I'd like you to do it right away. And you introduce yourself to your classmates, to me. There's also an introduction to me as well there. And respond to some of your classmates. And then the help forum is for you to ask questions to me. You're welcome to jump into that forum and help answer questions that students ask. But it's more general questions about the class setup or a link not working or when something's due. If you have an academic question, you would use the classroom forum. The classroom forum is our main forum for the semester. It's where you do all your post work. And again, if you have any academic questions, those are considered participation posts, because you're asking something that you're asking the class to discuss or asking me to discuss, and we call that a PI post. If you have a specific academic question you really want to draw my attention to, then put maybe a question for the professor or something like that. Draw my attention to it. I do read through your post daily, but if one gets missed and you had an important question, I want to make sure I see that. Okay, so that's the general information up there. Then the course is broken up into part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is the first 3 weeks. Part 2 is the next 3 weeks. So part 1, each week has 2 lesson plans, and this course is usually taught as a 12-week course in the fall and spring, so it's 1 lesson plan per week. But with you guys, since it's a 6-week course, obviously it's 2 lesson plans per week. And so there's 2 lesson plans to cover: a general introduction to ethics, and then the topic of ethical heroes from both the Eastern and the Western perspective. So I'd like this course to be multicultural, so that we have a little bit East and West in this class. Then you have a study guide for week 1, and then a quiz on these 2 lesson plans. And then once we're done with these 2 lesson plans, you don't have any cumulative exam on them in the future. So you can move on to the next 2 lesson plans for week 2. Here we have what's called the history of ethics. We cover some of the major ethical theorists here: Plato, Aristotle, Hume, Mill, Kant, etc. And we just get a glimpse of these different ethical theorists. I think we cover 15 of them. And then we also look at Eastern ethics as well here, one more time, of the East. And then we have, again, a study guide for you, and then a quiz ready to be taken. The quizzes are always opening up on Friday morning, and they're open until Sunday at midnight. You're allocated 45 minutes for that, so make sure you start it by 11:15 Sunday night at the latest. And then week 3, I call this midterm week. You're covering 2 lesson plans, again, a study guide and a quiz. But it's called midterm week because you're going to be sending to me your course material that you've thus far completed. And so all your post work, I have some feedback questions for you. You don't really have an exam because you've already taken your quiz 1, 2, and 3. So there's no cumulative midterm exam in this class. It's just all your work for the course at that stage is due. It's January 27th to 29th, so it's a Friday through a Sunday, sometime that weekend. And to make sure you send me your coursework, it's through a website, and I explain that to you. You'll create a real quick Google website. It takes a few minutes to create, and pop all your work onto that, and then send me the link. And at that time, you'll get an official course grade. It will make up about close to 50% of your course grade, about 45%. And also, it's before the drop date, so you'll know how you're doing before it's your last chance to exit. Most students do really well in my class, so I'm not really concerned about that, unless you're missing a bunch of work. And then we start part 2. It is actually hidden from your view. I think you can see it lightly here, but when you open up Moodle, you'll see it's not available for you because I wanted to pop it up after the midterm so you're not stressed out and worrying about future work. And also, MountSec requires us to make sure the course, you can't complete it all in like 2 days. You have to complete it through the semester. And so part 2, we cover bioethics and abortion, euthanasia, stem cell research, and cloning. That's all called applied ethics. And then we go into the topic of nature and ethics and the environment and animals. So it's environmental ethics and the topic of animal rights. And this is also a very interesting one for week 6. It's religion and ethics, and we look at the world religions and their different positions, both Eastern and Western religions, on the different case topics, and also atheism and ethics, and the topic of whether religion is necessary to be moral or not. And so we have study guides, quizzes, and then at this time your final work is due. And that's somewhere between February 15th and 17th. You'll be sending me your final work. The only thing that's going to be new on that final work, different than your midterm, is you do have a research project. It's worth 10% of your grade, and that will be included on your final website. The phone is going, and I am going to ignore it. Okay, there we go. So that concludes my introduction. Okay, information or news about the research project is found in your syllabus. If you open up the syllabus, you'll see there will be a section on, let me scroll down real quick, explaining what a website is and how to create it, how it just takes a few minutes, explanation of post-work, attendance policy, class structure, how many times you communicate with me, extra credit, I offer it in this class, and there should be a section on research, and where are you? I'm scrolling very quickly down this. Here we go. And there's a link right here, and you click on that. You don't have to do your research project until after the midterm, but directly after the midterm, you should start it. You only have like 2.5 weeks before finals. So the research project, I give you many options, and you can also have a written form of a project or a video form of a project. So there's a couple ways you can go there. So if you have any questions, please use the help forum as your first option. I'll check that every day. And then you can also email me if you choose to do that. But posting in the help form is a little better because then everybody gets the value of seeing what that question is in my response. Okay, welcome everybody to this class, and I hope it's a very successful semester for you. Namaste.